Guys, so just a little bit about my background. I come from a family of hair loss at an early age, and I would buzz my hair, as you can see here. I was definitely losing it. The receding hairline, I had the back of it was really, really thin, so I kept it shaved. Basically, that's how I dealt with it. And actually, here was a picture of it growing out a little bit, so you could see how bad it was. But typically, I kept it much shorter. So for years, I just kind of did this hairstyle and just accepted family tradition. That's how it was going to be. And I would go about once a week for a neck trimming, just get the hair off the neck at the local just salon. Well, one day the lady asked me if I'd ever tried the minoxidil. I'm not sponsored by any certain minoxidil company, but it's the you can get different brands of it. And there's a few pictures of it available over the counter in both liquid or a foam. And as I've stated over and over, always check with your doctor before you start anything new like this. This is just my personal experience. So anyways, at this neck trimming, the stylist asked me if I'd ever tried anything like that. And I said, no, I have a family history, just accepted the hair loss. So she was like, well, there's this minoxidil over the counter. There was a drug mart in that plaza. She walked me over, showed it to me. And 2 weeks later, so when I went back for a trim, I kind of let it grow out. And she showed me that there was actually already baby peach fuzz coming in the crown and where the receding hairline was. More noticeable because I kept it so short, I think, but I was blown away by that. Because I honestly did not expect anything. Thought, yeah, I'll give it a shot. If it works, great. But had no expectations. But I could see it after these 2 weeks. So we're going to backtrack a little bit. And what is minoxidil? How do we lose hair? I don't want to get too scientific. But basically, especially men, I can speak for, we lose our hair. Male pattern baldness called alopecia. And it's hormonal as well. Minoxidil will attack one method, and if you've heard of finasteride, Propecia, that will attack another. That's by prescription only, but those are the two main ways. So that's why they're really effective. Again, talk to your doctor, but your testosterone in your body converts to something called DHT, which slowly kills your hair follicle, just to simplify it. So you got one kind of regrowing it while one prevents it from breaking down, was how it was explained to me. Back to the minoxidil, which was what I had started with. I'm learning all this hair regrowth stuff that's out, and this stuff comes in a foam or liquid dropper. You applied it twice a day to your scalp. I put it all over, and in even the areas that I had hair. Guys, I always pride myself when I do videos like this to provide you with the scientific, medical data, peer-reviewed articles if they're available so you can see for yourself. And here's a study that showed it was like 86% of people who used minoxidil did get some hair regrowth, or at least it stopped. So if you can start it as soon as you notice it, it will stop the hair loss in its tracks, the study showed. Okay, and so I just repeated this for about 4 months using the liquid minoxidil daily, learning as much as I could about how to regrow hair and keeping my hair buzz cut. But you could just see it because it was so short. I mean, little peach fuzz coming in every single day, it seemed like. So after about 4 months, I decided, you know what, I'm going to let it grow out. And when I did, it was just an absolute surreal feeling having hair and the confidence that brought. But there was one issue. Hair takes time to mature. So while I had hair all over my head, it was like this real thin, like baby hair, peach fuzz. So I thought it was the only option to hide this, to wear a wig. So I go back to my stylist. She tells me about these hair fibers. So guys, these hair fibers are absolute game changers. If you don't want to go the full regrowth route, these things are incredible. They come in different brands, as you should see here, some popular ones. and they're almost the consistency of like salt, but they're made out of keratin. So that is what your hair is also made out of. So the furthest one on the left there, you see the thinner hair. Then you shake that on, kind of move it around in your head. It is amazing. You can see it binding to the hair follicle, and then it poofs it out. So it is your hair. It is what your hair is made of. It's just literally making it thicker. So now I had this peach fuzz all over with these fibers now that I had essentially had a full head of hair. Was letting it grow out. You can style your hair with this stuff. It would rain on it, not wash it off. Literally, a shampoo would wash them all out. So you would have put them in before you style. Um, if you're, like I said, thinning, I can't speak enough about what these things did for me, and relatively inexpensive and easy to find too. So, and I'm going to give a summary of all of this here shortly. I just want to try to make it simplified because I know when I was looking at YouTube channels and stuff trying to find this stuff, it was little stuff all over the place, and I just binding it together and what worked for me and what the science and data showed. So just a quick summary here to bring everything back. So we're at 4 months of using over-the-counter minoxidil for growth. I'm seeing this baby hair growth all over. I let it grow out some, but it was still noticeably thinner. And stylist said until those baby hair follicles, hair, hair, the baby hair, excuse me, fully matures, it's gonna be thinner than the rest, which I think she said could take about a year. So I'm putting these fibers in, and for the first time in about 5 years, and if you're losing your hair, you know what impact this means. First time in 5 years, I'm actually styling my hair. You can style it with those fibers in. So that's all I've used at this point right now. And here are just a couple of pictures of each for you. So maybe I got a little impatient. I don't know. But after about 8 months and still having to use the fibers, which I was ecstatic at the hair growth so far, but I wanted it to be my own. So let's go back to that other product I mentioned, finasteride. That's been for men, it's only for men and also by prescription only. So next doctor's appointment, she'd already known I'd been regrowing my hair. Talked to her about this finasteride along with the minoxidil. And after some blood work, she prescribed me finasteride. So back to how that works. Getting close, guys, and I'm gonna wrap it all up and hopefully make this something you are eager to go out and try and it works out for you. So finasteride, if you remember at the beginning, I said we'd come back to it. It's only prescribed for male because how finasteride works is it's more on the hormonal level. We have an enzyme in our body that converts testosterone into a byproduct called DHT. We need some of that, but too much of it will cause thinning and eventually death of hair follicles. Hence why it's only prescribed for men have much more testosterone. Um, so it blocks that enzyme. So it doesn't lower your testosterone levels. It blocks your testosterone from being able to be converted to that DHT, which blocks the hair follicle and kills it. So you can see how they both work together here. Minoxidil opens the blood vessels for excess growth for the follicle to get the nutrients it needs to grow. Well, the follicle is now bigger and denser now because it's not being thinned out and killed by the DHT. And again, everyone is different. That's why I keep saying you got to talk to your doctor. But after about 6 months on both, I had thicker and still do thicker, fuller hair than I have ever had, even before I started this. There's a reason after I don't keep it too long still. And some additional considerations and final thoughts. There is something called a derma roller, which is science based and it creates a little microscopic. I never really was consistent with this, but there is the science behind that. If you want to look into that, there's some shampoos Mostly the main ingredient for dandruff has shown some promise of regrowth. Just a few final thoughts here. There are, first of all, always ask your doctor. This was my personal journey, trying to show you what the science says about stuff. There's the two proven for hair regrowth, and they always work better if you start at the first sign of thinning. And if nothing else, I would encourage you to try those fibers, guys. And it's a lifetime commitment. You got to do it every day, just like you go to the gym every day to keep your muscle. Please ask me any questions. A lot of stuff coming. Thank you. And I hope you enjoy that funniest joke in the world right there. Bye, guys.